We're going to talk football, NBA, and MLB today. We're going to kick things off with Kirk Cousins signing with Las Vegas. I think this is a great move. I kind of covered Kirk Cousins a couple videos ago, and I talked about his options in the offseason, and that if he wanted to play right away, that Las Vegas was the spot for him. I think it's a great spot for him, too. Las Vegas just went out and spent a lot of money in free agency. They still have Max Crosby, so I think that defense is going to be vastly improved. They still have Brock Bowers at tight end. They have Ashland Gentry at running back. And Kirk Cousins is going to be able to step in and get some stuff done. Still curious to see who they'll be throwing the ball to at wide receiver. I think that room needs a couple more additions, but I like the fit. I like Kirk Cousins as a mentor for Mendoza. And speaking of Mendoza, he absolutely crushed his pro day. I know that's not saying much. Like, pro days are pretty basic showings for a player. It's not something they do to hurt their draft stock, so everything is set up for them to succeed at a high level. Mendoza went above and beyond with his pro day, threw way more passes than most quarterbacks do. He got as many of his teammates onto the field to showcase them in front of NFL scouts, so good for Mendoza. Again, building up that leader characteristic that I feel he has. I really like what Vegas has got going there. It's exciting, and hopefully Mendoza comes in and learns from Kirk Cousins, and year two is ready to step in and take over the job. I'm excited and looking forward to all of that. On a down note, Puka Nacua is apparently in rehab. I'm not going to dive too deep in this today. I think it's an important issue, and Puka is doing the right thing by being in rehab. I'm not even sure what the exact reason for him being there is, but it's good for Puka, and I'm not going to say anything negative about it. Addiction is a serious issue, not only in this country, but in the world. So for somebody like Puka to stand up and say, I need help, that's a massive step in the right direction, and I applaud him, and I stand behind him. Philadelphia Eagles are just a mess. I've covered this a couple of times, and I covered it last video talking about their new offensive coordinator and how they need to find an answer somewhere. And I think Jalen Hurts needs to step up and be a real leader. This whole issue with playing under center, like, that's got to go, Jalen Hurts. You're in the NFL. You cannot take every snap out of the shotgun. You have to have a play action. Like, that's part of the reason your running game and passing game were in shambles. Like, you're not confusing anybody with what you're doing. And that falls on Jalen. He's the one that's changing plays. He's the one that's deciding on the pass run option. He's the one that's keeping it boring, keeping it on the ground, not wanting to air it out. And I get wanting to limit turnovers, but the extreme of that is detrimental to your team. So Jalen needs to be a leader. Step up, do things he's uncomfortable with, learn how to be better at things he's uncomfortable with, like a true leader. And then the Eagles will probably be fine in 2026. But that's a huge step. And let's see if Jalen can do it. Moving on to the NBA. I am starting to highlight a couple teams each week that will be in the playoffs, as we probably have like 6-7 games left until the playoffs begin. And so today we are going to cover the number 2 seeds in each conference. We'll start in the East, where the Celtics scored 53 points in the first quarter yesterday, 2 points off the record. And the Celtics are by far the best team in the East now. Tatum is doing Larry Bird stuff over the past 3 games, like points, rebounds, assists, totals. Pretty impressive. And he just came back from an Achilles tear. Like, that is extremely impressive. And he's only going to keep getting better before the playoffs start. Jaylen Brown is balling, has been all year, playing like an MVP. The Celtics are top 10 in offense and defense. And it's crazy to think, like, they traded Drew Holiday to Portland. They traded Porzingis to Atlanta. They lost Al Horford in free agency. They were supposed to have a down year. They had Tatum out with an Achilles tear. Yet, Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown are obviously a lot better than everybody was giving them credit for, because the Celtics were there playing great basketball all year, and then they get Tatum back and they're looking to make the NBA Finals now. Derek White is a beast defending the wing. Pritchard is solid off the bench. The Celtics have the formula to come out of the East, and I think they're going to make to the conference finals easily this year, which would be their 4th in a row. I think like 7 out of the last 9 years that they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics are somebody who will have to be dealt with in the playoffs. Moving over to their counterpart in the West, the San Antonio Spurs, also a 2 seed, are 2 games over the Lakers right now. Wemby dropped 41 and 18 in less than 30 minutes the other day. I mean, that guy's looking like Will Chamberlain. He's not even playing 30 minutes, and he's dropping 40 with ease. It's insane. Easily going to be the greatest player in basketball in a year or 2. The Spurs have 8 guys averaging double-figure points. Impressive. They have a great defense that's anchored by Wemby, the 7'4" beast in the middle. They have great depth. In my opinion, they have the coach of the year in Mitch. He got all these young kids gelling and playing extremely good basketball. Everybody says the Spurs are a year or 2 ahead of schedule and they can't win in the playoffs because they don't have experience. And yet nobody's giving Mitch Johnson any credit. I don't understand how any of that makes sense. Either the team is very young and has no experience, and Mitch Johnson is doing a hell of a job to make them ball out like he is, or they're right on schedule and they have the talent to win right now, and so Mitch Johnson doesn't get seen as coach of the year. But you can't have it both ways. The Spurs are extremely dominating, and I am very excited. Castle, Harper, Fox, Wemby, they can all create their own shots. The 3-point shooting for the Spurs has improved greatly throughout the season. Corner threes are becoming a strength, which I touched on last video is a weakness of Oklahoma City. So I'm really looking forward to a Spurs-Oklahoma series. It should be very entertaining. The Spurs' weakness is probably their youth, right? And that does show up at times on the defensive end with switches and some of the perimeter coverage. Wemby is trying to do a lot, and so sometimes he leaves the paint to go help on the wing. He's also so huge that if somebody is 20 feet away from the bucket, he's jumping from the paint for a block. And when he does that, he leaves the Spurs very vulnerable to offensive rebounds and second chance points. So that's probably their weaknesses, but they're pretty solid across the board. And I'm very excited for the conference finals in both conferences. Moving on to baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates are calling up Connor Griffin. He should be playing tomorrow, Friday, for the Pirates' home opener. Connor Griffin, if you are not aware, is the number 1 prospect in baseball. He is a 5-tool player. He is a 70 overall on the 2080 rating scale, which, if you're unfamiliar, is unheard of and basically like guaranteed superstar. He did not have the greatest spring training this year, but he played 5 games in AAA to start off the year and hit 438 with a 571 on base percentage and 625 slugging. For you guys keeping count, that's an 1196 OPS. Yeah, it's just 5 games. It's a very small sample in baseball. But Connor Griffin is going to be a beast. And the Pirates are looking tough. They got a lot of young talent right now. They seem ready to spend some money to try to win behind these guys. And I'm excited to watch it. I still have the Pirates making a wild card this year, and Connor Griffin's going to help them get there. Sandy Alcantara, Miami Marlins pitcher, threw a complete game yesterday. He leads Major League Baseball since 2022 with 10 complete games. In 2022, he had 6 complete games and won the Cy Young. The guy is an absolute workhorse in the fashion that we don't see these days. 20, 30, 40 years ago, pitchers pitched until their arm fell off. Now we are pulling people in the 4th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, over innings limits, over different things. That's great for the health of these pitchers. But when somebody like Sandy Alcantara comes along, we have to appreciate it because that guy is a workhorse. Power rankings after 1 week of baseball. We got the Dodgers in 1st, Yankees 2nd, Mariners 3rd, Blue Jays 4th, Mets 5th. I'm fine with all of those. I got all 5 of those teams making the playoffs. We're only 1 week into the season, so we got time. And Dodgers being 4-2, I'm still fine with them being in 1st place. They have the talent. Until we get like halfway through the season, if they're barely above 500, then we can adjust rankings. And speaking of rankings, a guy came out with his top 11 aces, and I like the guy. I like his writing. I like his work. So I'm not going to call him out by name, but I do have a couple issues with this list. Most notably, number 7, Dylan Cease. Let me go through the full list with you real quick. It is Tarek Skubal, Paul Skeens, Garrett Crochet, Yamamoto, Christopher Sanchez, Hunter Brown, Dylan Cease, Logan Webb, Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler, and Jesus Luzardo. The only 2 people I have issue with on that list are Dylan Cease and Jesus Luzardo. The Phillies have 3 pitchers in the top 11 aces. I don't agree with that. Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez belong on that list. No doubt in my mind there. But Jesus Luzardo, I think there are quite a few pitchers better than him and more deserving of him. And Dylan Cease, I think Kevin Gausman has been more consistent over the past few years, and they're on the same team. And if you would put Kevin Gausman on the list, then Garrett Cole definitely has an argument to be on that list. He has been an ace and a machine for a very long time. He just got injured. So we remove him from the ace list because he's old and was injured for a year. I mean, that's an okay argument, but I don't think Jesus Luzardo has been that great. I don't think Dylan Cease has been that great to bump off of Garrett Cole. Seattle should have a pitcher on this list. You can pick one. I'll go with Brian Wu. Max Fried definitely deserves to be on that list. His past 4 years have been much better than Dylan Cease, much better than Jesus Luzardo. I think that's a massive robbery. I would put Hunter Green on the list over Dylan Cease. He just happens to be hurt right now, and he has been hurt a couple times. So I could see if you're trying to keep people off the ace category because of injuries, like Hunter Green might be there. And so would Spencer Strider then, I guess. But I feel Max Fried belongs on the list over Dylan Cease and Jesus Luzardo. I think Brian Wu belongs on the list over Dylan Cease and Jesus Luzardo. But I'm very excited for all these pitchers to go out the rest of the year and prove me wrong and right. I don't want anybody to fail necessarily. But yeah, thank you for joining me today. I